What's up, people? Welcome back to Stuff We Didn't Say on Sunday. I am your host, Christopher Michael Fletcher, and this lovely lady to my left is...
I'm Rae.
I gave everyone
Fletcher.
my full name. You may as well give them your full name.
I am Rachel Lynn Fletcher.
And she loves nothing more than to be called Rach or...
Rachel Lynn.
Rachel Lynn. Say it all together. It's her favorite.
It's so funny because I think everybody probably knows by now I'm from the North, but I always thought that Rachel Lynn sounds like, it just sounds really nice with a little twang in it.
Rachel
like
Lynn.
Rachel Lynn. But
how would you say it up north?
I prefer to go by, I don't know. You know, people were calling me Rach. I only let a couple family members call me Rach. Otherwise, it's Rae.
Rach sounds like something that you attack with bug spray. You know what I mean? Like, we got a Rach in the house. Like, I need the spray.
Right, because it sounds like roach. That's why you're thinking that. A little bit. Oh, my goodness gracious. Thanks.
Someone help me. There's a Rach in my bed. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. Fun with names. What's your name? We'd like to make fun of it.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Yeah. Anyway, let's jump in today. That was
fun.
That was fun.
So, you know, a lot of so far we've done 2 questions of the day. We always like to start with something to think about, food for thought. And so I thought that the first 2 kind of were like north versus south, possibly.
No.
Some people kind of disagree.
Our food for thought has always been you making fun of me.
Okay, well, this one's going to be making fun of me, I know, because I know this one's not a very this is not like a question of the day where a lot of people, I think I'm going to definitely be like the odd person out here.
Am I allowed to make fun of you?
Yeah,
okay,
you
cool.
can, because I mean, we talk about this all the time. We like making fun of each other, if you guys haven't picked up on that by now. It's the way we flirt.
Yeah.
But I don't know how this came up.
I know exactly how it came up.
How did it come up?
You and I were standing next to each other in the bathroom, and you reached over to turn the water on to brush your teeth, and you turned on the hot water, and I was horrified. I was like, what are you doing? And you said,
okay.
I brush my teeth with hot water. And you started on this whole long thing about how it kills the germs and blah, blah. I mean, something boiling water.
No. I think that I might have made this up in my... Well, no. First of all,
I'm sure
when you wash your hands, when you wash your hands, you wash with warm water because it kills the germs. Okay, I'm not...
But you're washing with antibacterial soap.
Yeah, I don't have any medical background here. This is just my thoughts. I like to brush my teeth with hot water.
Tell us why.
He thinks it's disgusting. Because I feel like it sanitizes my mouth. I don't know.
She rinses with antibacterial hand soap.
No, I do not. No,
exactly.
That is not true. But I brush my teeth on hot. No cold involved at all. It is like hot water. And I also, it could be, I have like kind of sensitive teeth. And so
I have super sensitive teeth.
When I'm brushing with cold water, I feel like it's extra cold because, our toothpaste is minty and you mix mint and cold together. It's kind of cold. But I was talking about this with someone. I know someone agrees. It actually honestly might be...
No, that's perfect. Find one person who agrees with you.
I know someone else. I keep thinking it might be Tyler Florio. I could be wrong on that. I think...
I'm going to tell you what. If you want to win an argument, let's get Tyler Florio in your camp. As Cameron well knows, you just won everything. Like, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler's with you. Well,
anyway,
I yield my point now.
So... Question of the day, do you brush your teeth with hot or cold water? I would love to know if there are any other weirdos like me.
And why? If you brush with hot water, really the burden of proof lies with you hot water brushers.
Well, okay, so
why on earth?
I
did that. Okay, so I did it.
You tested it out?
I did. It felt like I took Sleepy Time tea and was rubbing it on my teeth. Like I felt like I don't know, it just felt dusty. It felt like I was being punished. Like my mom was like, clean your mouth out. Like, I don't know. It felt like punish. It was odd. So when I brush my teeth with cold, it's like jump starts my morning. And, I imagine it's like an 80s toothbrush commercial. You remember those where people are like, ding, that kind of thing? That has to be cold water. There's no way you're jump starting your day with hot water.
Okay, so I disagree because I just stated that. So then you answer the question then. Why do you like to brush your teeth with cold water?
Because it's invigorating and it cleans my teeth. Because I feel like it said in the commercials, brush with cold water. Wash hands with warm water, brush teeth with cold water. I just feel like it makes sense.
Yeah, see, there's no rule. Like, no one ever said you have to brush your teeth with cold water.
No, I never heard that. My mom would yell at me about, you need to wash your hands. Wash them with warm water, because we'd always use cold. Like, we'd come in from playing outside, and we'd wash for like 2 seconds, no soap, cold, and be like, I'm done. Sometimes we'd come out of the shower, and she'd be like, your hair's not even wet. Like,
Yeah.
I washed it, So
Did
I
she
know
ever
about,
make you go back in and rewash your hair?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
I feel like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There was the one Sunday afternoon. This is totally sidebar. There was the one Sunday afternoon. We used to, when I was a kid, we had church on Sunday night.
Yeah.
So like if Sunday morning wasn't
was-
enough, Dad would preach like an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute sermon. I would fall asleep, dying of hunger in the seat. We'd go get something at some Mexican restaurant that had free kids meals, and then we'd go home for a minute before we came back for church Sunday night. We were good little boys and girls. So Mom was like, "You go outside, but you're not going to shower before church, so don't get dirty." So we played tackle football.
Yeah.
Because we didn't listen very well. Samuel wasn't born at the time, so all parents were still parenting. My parents were still parenting until Sam was born. Then they quit. But
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so we came in and I had grass all over my back, and my mom looked at me and said, "Did you play tackle football?" No. She's like, turned me around, looked me in the mirror. Anyway, I got in a lot of trouble. But she would always tell us, make sure you wash with warm water. But nobody ever said anything about
I just have to
toothbrushing.
say, I love that the background of your Sunday mornings, or your Sundays,
Yeah.
your Sundays when you were a kid. Because we had Sunday night. I grew up in a different state than you. We also had Sunday night service that would go on for hours, and I was not able to play. We would go eat. We would have a family meal, and
good.
then everybody had to go home and take Sunday naps.
Amen.
Because you didn't know how late the service was going to go.
No.
So I had to take
You
a
were
Sunday
Pentecostal
nap.
though, so if the
Every
Spirit fell, you had
Sunday
no
I
idea how
did,
long you were
yeah.
going to tarry.
It's true.
We were different. We were non-denom, but my dad was teacher, so
Yeah.
we taught the Bible for like 18 hours in the morning, and you guys like praised and worshipped and sang all night.
That's true. We did.
Yeah, that's how that went down. Anyway, wow, back to memory lane, talking about our
Yeah.
childhoods.
It was great.
Let's talk about children
Yeah.
today, because that's the stuff we didn't say on Sunday. On Sunday, we talked about God's plan for family and parenting and kids, and now we're gonna get a little more. I don't know. We're gonna explore children.
This is an easy topic. So for those who don't know, we have 4 children. Our oldest so we have 1 boy and 3 girls. Our oldest is graduating high school in just a few months.
As of this moment, the filming of this, he's still 17.
Yeah, he's still 17 right now. But oh my goodness, I get emotional a lot these days because just thinking of him. But so just like a little disclaimer, that's our oldest kid. Our oldest kid is 17. We
Yeah.
do not know what it's like to raise adult children because we're not there
true.
yet. So just keep that in mind with some of the things that we're saying here today.
Yeah, we don't reserve the right to change our minds, but if I'm totally honest with you, if we start in this conversation about children, I felt like when we first got married, before we had Jaden, like we knew everything about child raising. As a matter of fact, my parents and your parents, they were probably morons. They had no idea how to do this. And then we had a kid and discovered, no, we're the morons. We had no idea
Yeah.
how to do this. So, I mean, I think we've changed our mind with every decade
Yeah.
about certain things, about the
That's
key
true.
stuff that the Bible
Yeah.
talks about. We've never changed our minds, but about
Right.
certain kind of the ways of how this works.
Like different techniques.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Because we talk about theology and nuance. Theology doesn't change, but the nuance is kind of the whole challenging point.
Yeah, so talk about that then. Why do we teach theology first and then nuance?
Talk about why do we teach theology first and the nuance? That's a good question. Here's the thing about theology. Theology recognizes that God is on the throne, that the chief end of humankind is to glorify God and to enjoy him forever, recognizing that, it's really based on 3 statements: Jesus is Lord. So what that means is that God's not surprised by our circumstances. So the reason that we teach theology first is because in an ever-changing world, the people who experience the change are us. God doesn't experience change. He says in his word, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. So the reason that we teach theology before nuance is because God's not surprised by our circumstance. And the reason we teach theology before nuance is because in Genesis chapter 3, sin enters the picture and completely wrecks the plan. So we have these two tension points of God never being surprised, God being the same yesterday, today, and forever, and then sin supposedly wrecking the plan because what we did was we, humankind, let evil into the camp. And so then as a result, we don't measure up anywhere. We're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. We don't fit the original plan, the original design. So the reason that we teach theology before nuance is because we have to start recognizing God has an original plan. God has original design. We don't meet and measure up. And so this whole earth time experience that we have is walking with God as the Holy Spirit prepares us for it. It's the process of sanctification, big theological word that basically means the Holy Spirit is preparing you for an eternity with your Father in heaven. And that's why we teach theology first and then nuance, because can I say this? I think sometimes people try to apply nuance to everything, and that's kind of the tension of this series, is how to be individual in the midst of collective.
That's good. Yeah. So like with our kids, let's give some examples of how we put into
individual
like
in the midst of collective. You mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. We talked about relationships. If I remember correctly, you said on Sunday, we have 4 kids, and so we have to teach them how 4 children can be. How can 4 children, Rachel, how can you love Jaden as much as you love Brooklyn and Nora and Iris? And how can you teach them how to be the individual that you love? I mean, you love that boy.
Mm-hmm.
But how does that work in the midst of, how do you have 4 favorite kids? Or are you lying? Headline.
No, there's
husband puts wife on
really
spot.
There's no way to I don't know how to put that into words, because
Try.
I mean, you worry about that, like when you have your first, you just love that baby so much, and then your second one's coming along and you think, how am I going to love this one just as much as, but it's like your heart just grows. It doesn't, your love doesn't divide, it just grows and multiplies. And so
get practical, because you're really good at this. How is Jaden your favorite? So Jaden works now, and Jaden goes to work, and Jaden comes in, and the girls are that Jaden starts work at 6 a.m. So then his shift ends, and he comes home at 10, and everyone's done with breakfast.
Yeah.
But then he walks in, and it's not like all the other kids aren't there, and it's not like you don't treat them like you love them. But all of a sudden, Jaden is the superstar of the show. So you help us wrap our arms around this individual in the midst of the collective kind of tension, and focus on your love for Lil Prince.
Oh my goodness, I don't know if he's going to appreciate you calling him that, but he is the little prince of the house.
Appreciate me calling. Then he should stop walking around like he's Lil Prince. He should stop pulling up in my driveway like he's Lil Prince, and I'll quit calling him that.
So the fact is that when he goes and leaves early in the morning, we don't wait for him to start our day, obviously, So we're at home, we homeschool our children, so we start the school day, and then he comes in and, they're already, breakfast is cleaned up, they're already moved on to something else, and then he's starving though, he wants to eat. And he's old enough though, so he can prepare his own meal, he can.
He's not half bad at preparing breakfast.
He's really not.
And yet, Mommy dotes on Lil Prince.
I do. I want to hear how his morning went. So I know that that's going to happen, so I plan that into the morning. So I know Jaden's going to be home by this time. So the girls are going to be doing something that they can do on their own, and then I will sit down with Jaden and I'll spend some time with him, because I didn't have that in the morning. And I know I'm not going to have that, for many more years, just because he's growing up and he's going to be leaving the house. So, yeah.
Let me say what I think I hear you saying, because it sounds like the point that we had last week, action on purpose, which then we said again this Sunday, action on purpose. Here's the thing. It seems to me, and maybe I'm overburdening it, but it seems to me like your playbook with those kids is you know the schedule, you know the routine. Obviously they're kids, so stuff changes all the time. See, I say bless you when people do that, and you always yell at me like, you don't say bless you when people do that. I thought that's what you did.
You always say that when somebody coughs. I'm having horrendous allergies right now, and I have the past few weeks. So I feel like my voice is just stuck in this
But we've been married almost 20 years. Whenever you do that, I'll go bless you, and you'll go, stop it. It's not what you're supposed to say. What am I supposed to say?
You know what? No, but I'll take blessings whenever. Whenever you want to bless me, you bless me. I will appreciate it.
It's because the camera's rolling.
If someone, no. If I cough, he'll say, "Oh, God bless you." And I'm like, "Wait, no, but I didn't sneeze." And so I feel like,
listen, hot water brusher, you're clearly off base on a lot of stuff, okay? So maybe you don't know what's going on.
Oh my goodness. I'll take the blessings. If you want to bless me all day,
okay,
I'll take it.
Okay. So back to the point that I was making, though. It sounds like what you're saying to me is what we've been saying in 2 weeks in the sermon series, which is action on purpose with your kids. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, action on purpose with the kids. Yeah, making each one of them know that they're the favorite. They all know that they're the favorite, and yeah, taking action and displaying my love for them. And
so when you do that, this is I learned this at home. And I learned this from you, observing you with our children, that's kind of where, so I'm the one that came up with, in writing this series that we've been doing, I'm the one that came up with individual,
excuse me, sorry.
Just, smack that table.
Smack the table.
Teach it who's boss. I'm the one that wrote in the series, individual in the midst of the collective.
Yeah.
And if I'm being transparent with you, that came from this whole idea of being a kid in a house where I was an individual in the midst of the collective, and at the same time, watching you do this with our kids. So
yeah,
people struggle when they have children, thinking that children suddenly become the point. How do we balance? Because we'll meet people who are like hardly married and never at home and live their lives like we used to be in the we've been in dance and sports, and we've been around observing people who tragically, it looks like, their entire lives exist for the child, and it even fractures the relationship with the kid. So how do you?
So yeah, you're saying
children
are not the point. The point is they're a gift. Is that what you're going back to?
Children,
of, yeah. Children are the gift, but they are the result of, like our children, they're the result of our love. They're the result of our marriage, and we came before they did. So, you have to have a solid relationship.
No, I was going to interrupt you.
Yeah, okay.
So you keep going.
No. So you have to have a solid relationship and a good marriage, and then once you have that, the kids come next.
Yeah.
You know that song? First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby in a baby carriage. Did you ever I grew up like I think it was like a hand clap.
Did you learn that in those long worship services you guys would do?
Then comes marriage. No, then comes baby in the baby. But that is truth,
Yeah.
So
you can't see them, but the crew here in the room, they're singing the song. They're mouthing the song off camera, which is somewhat disconcerting.
So yeah. So your marriage
they're mouthing insults.
Your marriage is the point. Children are a result of that, and they're the gift. And so, and then when you bring in more children, you have all of these different personalities all living under one roof, and they have to learn to get along.
Are you saying you can tell your children no?
Yes.
They're going to hate you, though.
Yeah. They're not, actually.
Oh.
No, we talked about this.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did. Maybe we did. Yeah, I think we said they're not.
We talk about this all the time at home.
When we were talking about the paper calendars, we were talking about the calendars a couple weeks ago.
Bleh.
You have to tell your children no, and in the end, they're gonna love you for it. Really, they're gonna be fine if you're focusing on the family unit. I want to talk about what we were kind of mentioning a second ago about different personalities and how they're all individual, but we're all living together.
Oh, that's good.
Because
all our kids are different. Our kids are really different.
Yes.
Jaden is so sweet. He's a lot like you. He has deep, for his age, he's deeply in tune with people's emotions.
He is.
Brooklyn is a whole lot like me. She's like female me. We're like driven. We're going to get stuff done.
Oh my goodness.
Like, to take charge.
She was up this morning before all of us. She was downstairs working on schoolwork. Bed was made. Dishwasher. She unloaded the dishwasher.
We came down to the house opened up.
Like she just did that on her own. She's amazing. And then Nora, oh my goodness gracious.
Nora's like a sweet blend of the two. I think Nora's one of the best blends of you and I together.
She is.
Yeah, so crazy. And then Iris is Brooklyn 2.0.
I was going to say Nora's in charge, but she doesn't care if she doesn't mind being goofy. She loves to be. Yeah, no, she's
like the blend between.
Yes.
So we have those kids.
Yeah.
Then how do we juggle different personalities in the midst of the individual personalities in the midst of collective?
So this is actually something that is really important to us, because we want to teach them this before that they leave the house, because once they leave the house, not that they're on their own, they know that they can always come back to us, but
the world's tough and cruel.
It is tough,
and it's
so
unkind
little things that like this is kind of a big deal. For example, if one of them is humming, just kind of humming their own little tune, and the other one decides, you know what, I don't like that humming, that's gonna annoy me, and they start to get all, kind of ruffles feathered, make them stop humming, make them stop, I don't like it, it's annoying me, make them stop. First of all, you're gonna deal with things in your life that are just gonna annoy you. People are gonna annoy you. You're gonna be possibly sitting next to someone at a table who's annoying you, and you can't be like, you know what, I don't like you, you're annoying, I don't like that. You can't be like that.
Excuse me, waiter, can you toss this guy out, please? He's really annoying me.
I don't like the way that he's humming. Yeah. Everything about him, I just don't. So that is something you have to teach them, that, you know what, get over it. Who cares that they're humming? If they're happy and they're humming their own little tune, leave it alone. That's not your problem. The thing that's your problem is that you have to overcome that.
You're literally teaching. I mean, this. You and I were talking about this before we came in today. You are literally teaching, whether you know it or not. You are literally teaching what I have said I observed from you. We're just putting language to what we've been doing this whole time, teaching individuals how to live in the midst of the collective, how to live in the midst of the family society.
I want to just briefly say, if that child is humming to push the other child's buttons, that is something that will have to be dealt with in the other child. We don't do things to annoy people, but I just wanted to kind of mention that.
When we discipline our kids, we discipline action, but we're not just disciplining action, because discipline is not behavior modification. Discipline, especially when you're parenting children, discipline is at getting at their heart. So the issue is, if a child is humming to push another child's buttons, we discipline the reaction in the child who's reacting. So make them stop humming. That annoys me. Nope, just build a bridge and get over it. But you're doing that to push your sister's buttons. Stop that. Knock that off too. So that's a key thing with discipline. I learned that from my dad verbalized it that way. Discipline is not behavior modification, meaning we're not just correcting behaviors, we're correcting heart motives. We're dealing with motives of the heart. Now, when we talked about conflict the other day, we said that when we're having conflict with adults, we don't deal with motive. And that's really important, because parenting and when they're children is the place where we need to start dealing with motives and drives inside of them. That's where they need to learn that it's not just that I don't just do the right thing, and then when I'm behind my parents' backs, I do whatever I want. That's what this is all about, disciplining kids to deal with motive. How do you deal with kids? How do you deal with kids when you have more than one kid, and like not alliances start to form, but you have like some personalities that get along and some personalities that don't? Like Jaden and Brooklyn, when they were little, they were like two peas in a pod. I don't think they ever fought. And then we had Nora and Iris.
I always wondered though if it was because Jaden and Brooklyn, boy, girl, and then we had the two girls, that they just wanted the same thing.
Regardless,
all the time.
Help us. How do we? Because I've watched you deal with those two little girls. Now, part of it is how you responded that way, but how do you lower the temperature when you got two little girls going at each other?
Well, that can be, that's so hard sometimes. Number one, don't lose your temper on them. Oh my goodness, that's hard too.
She's talking to me.
No, I'm not. I'm talking to myself. It's hard, especially, I think, we live in a military town, so we have like a lot of people who, you know, their spouse is overseas, and so it's on the one spouse, or, you know, it is exhausting. It is genuinely exhausting, especially towards the end of the day. You're tired and everybody's feeling cranky, and not losing your temper. Or the other thing is you have to be consistent. It can't be a problem one day where the next it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And being consistent. Yeah.
Consistency. My dad used to say, everything can't be no. You got to pick a few no's.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people child-proof the house because they don't want to say no about everything. Some people pick a few things that is no, and so you discipline for that, and you deal with that, and you deal with those specific things. When your kids start to get older, we don't discipline Jaden for as many things now. Now we're nails on him about where he is, what time he's leaving, and what time he's getting back. Not because we're done parenting, but because that's kind of the example. Whereas for the little kids, we have some rules, man. Like we have rules about when you can or can't touch anything electronic. We have rules for what toys can and can't be upstairs and downstairs, and we correct that every single time.
I want to go back to what you just said about like with the older kids, you have to sneeze.
I do, yeah.
I can see it.
Thank you.
Hold it in. Actually, I heard just like this is just like a little free.
Bless me.
Free thing. I'm going to just put this out there. If you have to sneeze, think of a cow, because it distracts you from thinking you have to sneeze. If you have to sneeze and you really want it to come out and you can't get away from it, then look at a light. But if you're like doing a podcast
legitimately, I just
like
thought
on
of
stage,
the Chick-fil-A
think
cows.
of a cow, and
wow.
the sneeze urge will go away.
Nope, the sneeze urge,
No,
coming
keep
back.
thinking of it. You're not thinking hard enough of the cow. Think of the cow, Chris.
Now I'm thinking of a Red Robin burger.
Okay. Anyway, we are totally going off topic. I wanted to bring us back to...
I could kill a cheeseburger right now, but you're
really?
taking us back. Oh, man, I could kill a cheeseburger
I don't know.
now.
I don't know about a cheeseburger.
Bless you.
I could eat something, though, but maybe not a cheeseburger. But anyway, back to what we were saying, talking about the older kids. You mentioned, you know, we have like, if you're going to be out at this time, you come home at this time. And that's something that we really are strict with. I guess I'll say strict.
Sure.
That is important. Talk about how that's important, because like you put this really great, like when we were talking earlier about your kids have to have that communication, and they have to be able to know how to communicate that kind of stuff, because when you're older and when you're in a relationship,
you're preparing your kids.
That.
So I was saying to you, so I'm going to play in the Manna University golf tournament. I like golf. Golf is fun. But imagine that I hadn't been parented to learn how to be an individual in the midst of the collective. You're an individual who exists in part of a family and a network of relationships forever.
Yeah. Imagine
the storm of whatever thing you want to imagine, the storm of anger, rage. Imagine if I said, baby, I got an 8:30 tea time with the boys on Saturday, and I'll be home, and then it's dark. It's 8:30 at night, and I end up rolling back in like, well, I'm here, I'm home. I did what I told you. I went to play golf at 8:30, but then no communication for 12 hours.
I was just laughing. You said, imagine the storm, imagine the rage. They don't know me as well as you know me. That's a pretty big storm.
That's a pretty big storm.
That would be a pretty big storm.
Do not be fooled by Rachel's small size. Though she is small, to quote Shakespeare, though she be small, she is fierce. I am terrified of a few people, and Rachel Lynn, Lil Rachie, is one of them.
Aww. I love you.
What just happened? I don't even know what happened. Anyway, we
said that in sync. Did you hear that?
Did we? Yeah, that's perfect. We finish each other's sandwiches. I love that. We're talking about discipline, and so we're kind of ramrodding all around a few points that I want to make really, really, really clearly, and that is discipline is consistent. You got to pick some things. You got to be consistent with them. Another thing that I is just personal. Don't be offended if you said this. I don't even know who you are. I can't stand. Don't say I don't have time to discipline my kids. You have time.
Yeah.
You make time for what's important. And teaching, disciplining your kids is what's important. I mean, if that's the case, you got to say no to other stuff.
Yeah.
We talk about managing your schedule all the time. Manage your schedule before it manages you. This is something my dad always used to say. I think it's gold. Child rearing is most often experienced in your life as parent rearing. God is doing something in your kids, but God's also doing something in you.
That's true.
I tell you what, I am the man I am today because of how my parents raised me at home, but then they blessed my marriage to this woman, and now I am who I am today because of her. But I'm also who I am today because then God gave me 4 little children who helped me understand what it means to be a parent, how he feels towards me, at the same time, how I then feel towards them. It's completely changed how I think about discipline. When I was a kid, I thought God's kind of, probably a little bit frustrated in heaven, like, what the heck is going on? Why is Chris a knucklehead?
Yeah.
And then I had kids and discovered, you can think that child is a knucklehead and want to, throw them into the ocean while loving them fully and completely all at the same time.
Yeah.
And so that really brings a huge
great.
thing.
I feel like I have, through having children, I have become because I'm not naturally a patient person. I've never been a patient person. I don't like waiting for things. I don't like surprises. I don't like any of that. And so having kids, that has been one of the
throw her a surprise birthday party and see what happens.
Not
a good scene. Not a good scene. It's not going to go how you think it's going to go.
Moving on.
Let's finish with, we're almost out of time, but let's finish with one more thing. And you're like, I'm going to ask the question and I might scoot over a little bit. Talk about parenting and then talk about screen time.
You're going to move over, you're going to move away from me? Or
well,
you're going
I don't
to
want
scoot closer because we align
We align very much, but you're pretty strong on this whole screen time thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, golly, it is so easy these days to going to the grocery store, putting a screen in front of your kid because you want your kid to sit there, quietly while you go shopping. I'm guilty of that. I've done that plenty of times. There are times where it's just too convenient. It's too convenient to put a screen in front of them. You're making dinner or whatever. You have things that you have to focus on. If you know that you're going to have things that you have to focus on, maybe use that time as the screen time and not all day, because limit the time, because you definitely will see attitudes coming out.
You want to guarantee a kid's going to have a fit at night.
Yeah.
What's the guaranteed way for your kid to have a fit at bedtime?
Put them in front of a screen or let them play
video games. That is right.
We're not scholars in this area. We just go off of experience.
That might be purely anecdotal, but I can tell you what, if a kid's going to melt, they're going to have been fighting over a video game.
It's true.
Right before bedtime.
It's true.
That's right.
So we have really, really limited.
Really limited
screen time. And like I said, if you know that there are going to be times then that you need them to not, to kind of leave you alone for a minute, then utilize that time to be screen time. But it doesn't have to be, then don't make them play outside earlier in the day.
Let me lift some weight from your shoulders. Number 1, action on purpose. No one is expecting that everything's going to be perfect overnight. We're not perfect, and we don't perfectly practice even things that we know to be the case.
Yes.
That's why she asked me, why do we do theology before nuance? I recognize there's nuance. We got bad days. Everybody's got bad days. I recognize that. A little weight off your shoulders. You got your kids for a long time. One bad week didn't ruin them. You didn't ruin your kids. Your kids are not ruined. Your kids are not ruined. Another little bit of weight off your shoulders. I've actually heard a scholarly talk. I'd have to look this up. I should probably look this up and put it in the show notes. Do not deprive your children through screen time. Do not deprive them of the gift that is boredom.
Yes.
Boredom. When your kids come and go, I'm bored.
Yes.
Go outside and fix it. Why?
Go play with sticks in the mud. That's what.
You're teaching your children.
Yes.
You're teaching your children to learn how to overcome boredom, and you're teaching your children relationship. Because when you take the screens away, they have to suddenly interact with a human being.
And using their imagination, which is also helpful when you think of school. They come to writing papers, all those kinds of things. Kids have to they have to learn how to use their imagination.
I was going to say your children are geniuses, and boredom is what's going to help your children discover quite what little geniuses they actually are. I'm really dead serious about that. Do not deprive your children of the gift of boredom. Family time is important. Pursue family time together. I'm I won't say their names because they're in the military and I can't, but there's a couple of couples in our small group that I can think of particularly who challenge me with how they do family time. So family time is not limited to, well, my spouse is in the Army, so we can't have family time. I've not learned that to be the case. It's action on purpose. That's really the core of this is you need to walk with God, love each other. Get married, be married, love your spouse more than you love your kids. That's something you should model for them. I grew up knowing that my mom was more important than I was to my dad. And that's actually not bad. That's actually really powerful. Spend time together as a family. Slow is fast. Look, at the end of the day, God placed you on the planet for a purpose. And that purpose is going to be walked out and fulfilled, and it's your job to participate with him. So slow down, calm down. It's not all a mistake. It's not all messed up. We should say, you said this earlier, and I'm just going to remind because we're running out of time, but you and I were talking about this earlier, and you were talking about how we deal with kids who have different needs, and you wanted to talk about kids who had sensory issues.
Yeah, like, for example, like the whole, if a kid is humming and it's bothering another kid, we're not mentioning, this is not referring to kids who might have like sensory issues or, any kind of like disability that goes along those lines. That's a completely separate
It is
topic.
It's completely separate, but it's the same because we're individuals who exist in the collective, which means that if people have sensory issues, we put their needs before ours. They're not more important than us, but
being
your
sensitive
needs,
to them.
your needs are
sure.
more important than mine. And so if I'm annoyed by the humming, anyway, this was fun.
Yes, this was fun.
There was evening, there was morning, another episode of Stuff We Didn't Say on Sunday.
Let me know if any of you brush your teeth with hot water.
And
I
let
would
us
like to
know
I'm
if
not
you got
alone.
anything you want us to talk about.
Yeah,
something
that'd be
about
great.
kids, question that you have that came up. Let us know.
Yes. See ya.